Hey, construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum, and we're here for another amazing episode of Construction Champions Podcast, where we're burning the house down. And that house is everything around you that makes you not a champion, because we need to rebuild it. We're not here to just burn things down to burn them down. We're here to help you become the champion that you're meant to be. It's why you're tuning in. You're not tuning in for Ron Nussbaum. You're tuning in for our amazing guests. And today is no different. Ben, it is great to have you here today.
It is wonderful to be here. I love the energy, ready to burn it down with you as best as I can.
Awesome, man. Well, before we dive in there, why don't you take a minute or two and tell all the construction champions out there a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, me personally, I'm actually from New York City, and I grew up in. I'm a child very much of the '80s, and I watched the. We've had in my. I grew up on a 17th floor, and I watched. I had a southern and a westerly view, and I watched buildings coming up all around me, and until our southerly view, and then our westerly view of the sunset finally faded. And but it was a good time, and eventually my wife and family brought me here to Louisville, Kentucky, and my whole view of construction and what we do specifically with our business here. One thing, marketing, trades, and home services marketing changed a lot, and a lot of different viewpoints. So
Awesome, man. Well, I love it. And I'm excited for our conversation today. So I'm going to ask the $1,000,000 question. What makes a construction champion? Hey, construction champions. It's your host, Ron Nussbaum here. And I want to talk to you about how you can automate all of your marketing. We've had so many people on here talk about getting the systems in place. Well, we have partnered with Build 12 and Construction Champions podcast. Les O'Hara, the founder, what really excites me is his 30 years in the industry. And now he's built a system to be able to nurture your leads and continue to utilize that. I personally use the system myself. Build 12 is absolutely amazing. There's a lot of value in there, and it's a way to start getting away from Angie's List and all of that kind of stuff and start actually creating your own leads every day and have a system for them. So go on our website, check out the show notes, go check out Build 12 and what it can do for the front end of your business today. It's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend going and meeting with Les and his son, Devin, and talking to him about what they built for their own business so the rest of the industry can take benefit from that. Here on Construction Champions, we're all about helping each other out. And what is better than contractors helping contractors? I say nothing. So let's go take this to the next level. Go check out Build 12. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Les or his son, Devin. We're here to help. We want to continue to grow the industry.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of different things that go into it, but obviously, and there's different layers and elements, but there's a drive and a will. There's very much a communication, I think, is super important. Flexibility to really just be more open, to be a leader, and focus on being like a teammate and listening skills. So I think, those are, and from the relationship perspective, it's super important to have all those things to bring to the table.
I love it. And I think you really touch on something that I think is critical in the construction world, and that's that flexibility. I think we get hung up there a lot of times. We really get hung up into this is how we've always done it, and really pigeonhole ourselves instead of having the flexibility to try new things and move towards what the future would look like.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, from our perspective in what we do in marketing, there's very much This is the way we've been doing it. This is a family business. We've been operating it for a lot of years. We understand that maybe website is important, but we haven't put a lot of energy behind it, or we understand that we need to focus on being found through Google, but we haven't put a lot of time and energy and dug real deep behind it. Or we understand maybe that our signage or that our branding on or offline is super important. Our brand itself is super important, but we're sticking to our bread and butter, and that's I understand that. Like you want to get in the van, go to the job, focus on that, but you also have to have someone that can help you out to focus on all of those other things I was just mentioning to try to fit all the pieces of the puzzle together, to really, make your business as effective as it can be.
Yeah, there's a lot of fluent pieces about what you were talking about there and all the aspects of stuff that in 2024 we know matter a lot. But like you just said, is a lot of times, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners out there listening right now are like, I just don't make the investment in that. I just don't do that how I know I should. And I think that's that having that flexibility to move towards that stuff, because I think all too often we rely on our reputation and how we've always been able to continue to generate new customers and stuff. And we don't think about, I mean, I was in construction when you really had to figure out how to generate leads and do that kind of stuff. I think there's a lot of guys that are really 2020 changed a lot, and the work just really became unlimited. And I think we're starting to come out of that phase where you're going to have to put a lot more effort into how you're going to generate leads. And I think
Yeah.
we just kind of tiptoe around a lot of the different ways to do that, when it's really a foundation that has to be built, is my understanding of this. Is it You got to really apply some effort to then get to where you want to go. It's not just something that you can turn on.
You're always gonna, um, how do I say this? It's always going to be super important to have those referrals, those personal referrals, and that will always remain an important part of the business. But let's face it, when people are looking for some of these services, HVACs, roof, electric, they're going to Google and they're typing in, electrician near me, roofer near me. It's 97 in the middle of the night and my HVAC went out. Like, cooling, HVAC near me. And you need to have a presence on Google for people to find you, and when they find you, they need to be able to go to your website and it needs to look good. Otherwise, they're going to go back to Google and they're going to do it all over again. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's super important 2024 that those things are covered when you're thinking about your overall business and how are you going to get people to you and how are you going to keep people with you as clients. That's a good starting point. I mean, you really have to be focused on that. Like, do you have a professional website that looks fantastic, that has great imagery, that has the technicians you're sending out in professional looking shirts? Doesn't have to be like mine, but with the collar and a name of your business, or images of vans with or trucks with some signage on it. Excuse me, easy number to call, contact us form, stuff that's clean and neat, but that quickly is going to connect that person looking for that service to you.
Yeah, because I mean, it's all face it is like we go on websites and we're not do business with somebody because of their website or that experience that you have on there, or you just frankly don't feel like they can come through with what they're talking to or talking about doing because of how their website is.
It's the day and age, and we don't just do that with these kinds of services. You know,
Everything.
we'll do that with anything that we're looking at. So it is kind of the world that we're looking at. And I think, while people may, I think it's easy to get caught up in what you're doing and you're satisfied with the business that you're doing. But there's a lot of room to grow if you're willing to put an investment and think about that investment as a long-term investment, because these things we're talking about are long-term plays. They're not, it's not like general paid media where it's like, hey, I'm going to spend $5,000 or $1,000 or whatever that is, and I'm going to get X ROI on my investment for this month.
Mm.
It's not that. It's, you know, doing something on your website and optimizing that. And I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, but making sure that you're being found when people are searching you, like I said, in sort of an emergent situation, that that takes some time to it's called organic search for a reason. Like it takes some time to grow and to grow and to grow. But once you get there, you've done yourself a very you've done yourself a service that's going to last for a long time.
Yeah, and like what you're talking about is like these are assets that we're building. Like a great website that converts, that comes up well is an asset that your business will always have. It's something that you continue to build upon and continue to pay dividends. It's not something like you said where you run an ad, boom, bada bang, you get whatever traffic comes from that. From there, a great website over time will continue to pay dividends and will continue to pay more dividends over time.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I spent a long time, longer than I'd like to admit, working on that other side of the business where I was doing strictly paid media. And that was great. And the clients were way different kinds of clients. And that's a whole nother beast. This is something where you have like, um, it's maybe a smaller shop where I can see sometimes the hesitancy in some of these clients because these are big. It's like it feels like and it is a very big investment. But as long as you're thinking of it in terms of being a long-term investment, it changes everything. And you have to understand that this is not just, and I don't want to hijack the conversation in terms of what we do in marketing and but just in general for trades and them needing to, or if, assuming they want to grow their business from, $1 million business to a $2 million business and what their business goals are, they have to be thinking about many different aspects of it. It's like, um, what are the other things they're doing for marketing besides what we've just touched on? It's like who is answering the phones when people are calling in? Is it some, I mean, I don't, who's it, is it some, for lack of a better term, Giacomo who is like ready for the lunch break and is trying to get out there 15 minutes early because he's super hungry, or he's annoyed and from the last call that, and then he's got a little bit of an attitude. And these things are like vital, it's like vital
Yeah.
that, so some things that and we try to work with the company as best we can, to make sure that everything is going to go your way in terms of getting as many calls and as many leads and having as but there's only so much you can do if you aren't also working with a company and the company isn't working together symbiotically, with you to at every angle of this. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Because I'm a huge critic of the phones. For one, we have to answer them when somebody calls. Because if we don't, they're just going to the next company. Like if they get to your website, it's great, they love it, they reach out to you, and then you don't answer the phone, they're probably going right back to Google, and then they're gonna call the next company. So for one, we have to answer the phones. And I think that's a hurdle that has to be overcome, as well as who answered the phone and what does that sound like. I've seen too many guys on job sites that the company phone number is their cell phone, and they're out on a job site answering calls coming in, and no one even knows what is going on. They can't even hear it. You can't even have a conversation because they're on a job site. These phone calls need to be going to the right people that can take care of that customer, triage it, and get the right people to their house.
It's so true, and it's super important. And you know what we're trying to do, and what not just to have it all about us, right? But if you're out there and you're in the trades and you're working with a marketing company, you need to make sure that they're taking note of these kinds of things, and that they're asking these questions of you when you're meeting with them. We want to work with you, not just, okay, yeah, your website could use an upgrade or an uplift or what, facelift. Not just, yeah, we're going to work on your Google rankings, but like every aspect of every, let's talk about revenue. Let's talk about growth goals. Let's talk about your whole entire business. Like, well, okay, you want your husband to, get off the site, in a year instead of 5 years, and what's that going to take, and how do we make that happen? Like, you really want to like have your marketing partners working with you fully. So we're trying to really focus as much as we can as having sort of a fractionalized marketing, if you will, like fractionalized CMO almost, which basically just means like instead of having like a CMO you're paying $120,000 a year, it's like you want to have that marketing company offering more services than just, oh yeah, website, SEO, traditional types of things. Like, you want to partner with someone who can really focus on your whole entire business and be there for you. Maybe listen to some calls. Maybe tell you, hey, Jackie is maybe getting ornery around 4:45 in the evening before she goes home or whatever. Maybe we can like look at that with her. Like things like that. Or here's some seasonality. Like, ask some questions around some things we're seeing with roofers and seasonality, and they're seeing an issue with leads or with impressions, or when we look at numbers. But if you ask the right questions, you uncover information that makes a lot more sense, and it can change some of your strategies moving forward. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. No, I absolutely know what you're saying. And I think that's where people go wrong with who they hire, because they don't have these conversations on the front end. And then also having an expectation on what can you actually handle as a business. Because I think we go out and we get the website right, we get the marketing right, but can we operationally deliver that growth? If we're trying to go from 1 million to 2 million, is like, how do we operationally do that? Because that
Yeah.
starts to become a roadblock where now we're pissing customers off because we haven't thought out the full circle of this.
Right. And hopefully, that is part of the commitment that is made between all parties involved, where it's like, how can we want to, if you certainly if you come to us and you're like, we can't handle that, that's not our goal. That's not our goal either. Like, let's talk about when that goal might come up. But
Mm.
we want, setting, you said right away here, you said the most important thing was like expectations. Like setting expectations, both sides. It's communication. It's so important. It's communicating all the way. It's communicating in the very beginning, super important. It's communicating monthly, quarterly, all the way through. Like not ever letting anybody sleep on it and continuing to communicate, because that's how there can be great relationships, and businesses can grow within the limitations, that they can handle.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a great point. And we had a great conversation about this a few episodes ago, where we talked about like when you hire a contractor or hire a company to do something with you, the results are still in your hand. Like you have to communicate with them. You have to treat them as if they are an employee. It's not you go hire somebody and you don't have to do it. And I think that's a misconception when we start to hire companies to help us continue to grow our businesses is we just think, oh, well, I hired this marketing company. They're going to do it. I'm just going to continue doing what I'm over here. But that's how you get bad results. That's how you don't get the outcome that both you and that company you're hiring want. They want the best possible outcome. There has to be communication. There has to be meetings. There has to be an understanding of where we're going.
What are you just going to throw? You're not going to just throw your check at this company and be like, fix it, do it. Like you need to be involved here. Like we want, you should want to be involved.
Yeah, no, I think
You
that's
know?
where like the breakdown is like people just think I can hire a company to do it and I don't have to be involved. And that is such the wrong mindset. The mindset should be is like I'm going to be involved because I want them to be successful at this. And the only way they can be successful is if they understand me and my business and where I want to go. And you just see people do it all the time where they're just like, we're just spending the money, and then that's when things go south. It's because there is none of that.
Yeah, false expectations are a problem all the time. So, expectation setting is something, around here personally at our business at One Thing Marketing, we talk about all the time, weekly. We talk about it weekly. It's brought up every single week. What are the expectations? What are we talking about with our clients when we meet with them? What are some of the new things that they're bringing up? What questions are we asking? How are we addressing them? How come, so it's such an important thing. And it goes back to that first thing in the very beginning we're talking about, just like communication. So important. As is,
Absolutely.
as is with most things in life.
It just for some reason we can throw it out the window here. I don't quite understand it, but I think we're making great strides in the right direction. People like you are helping make those great strides. So, man, it's been awesome having this conversation today. For all the champions out there listening, if they wanted to connect with you, follow you, get in touch with you, where's the best places for them to do that?
Sure. You can go to onethingmarketing.net and you can click on strategy session button, or you can email me, Ben at onethingmarketing.net. Those are probably the best ways to go about it.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for taking the time and being on the show today.
It is my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right, construction champions, another episode in the bag. Where I think what I'm loving about having different service providers on here recently is the conversation about how this is a joint effort. That when you hire somebody to do something for you, it's only going to be as good as you allow it to be. If you're not willing to cooperate, you're gonna have companies like Ben that isn't even going, they're not going to want to participate with you
because they know the results are banked on what does that relationship look like? Can we communicate to each other? What can we learn and go out and create? And I love that direction. I think that's where the market needs to go, because I think that's where a lot of the problems lie. Is we too often just feel like we can just write a check to a company to do something for us, and then when it's subpar, we hold them accountable for being subpar. And I'm not saying they're not at fault at all, because on the front end they should be trying to have these conversations, but we have to come together. If you're hiring somebody to do something for your business, you have to treat it as if you're hiring an employee. Like, you would have these conversations with that employee. You would set that employee up for success by letting them know where you want to go. What are the expectations? What are you looking to get out of this? The same thing has to happen when you hire somebody to do something with you. I'm currently in the process of redoing our website, and my interactions with the company that's doing it has been amazing. And I said from day one with them, is my goal is to set you up to be the best you possibly can. And all they do is build software websites. And the guy said that's such a fresh breath of air, because they're like, most people just want to control everything or not talk to us. And I said, I don't really want to control a whole lot other than what our brand looks like, because this is what you do. And I want to answer any questions that you guys have and continue to have conversations. That's how you create collaboration. That's how you create communication. That's how you create great results. So for everybody out there listening, and you're sitting here and you're thinking, man, I should do something with my website. I should do, we're headed into the winter months. Stuff's going to start to slow down. What I'll tell you right now is, sorry to tell you, but you're already behind on that. This is something you start to make an investment in. It's truly an asset. Stop looking at it as a cost and start looking at it as an investment in your business in the future. So Construction Champions, make sure you go out, you check out all of our fantastic sponsors, hit that subscribe button, and until next time, be the champion you're meant to be.
Introducing BuilderComs, your all-in-one construction communication software. Say goodbye to communication mishaps that cause frustration among builders, contractors, and clients. The BuilderComs platform unifies communications, making it easy for you to chat, share updates, and collaborate effectively in one place. Experience the transformation in construction project management with BuilderComs. Visit us at buildercoms.com to learn more and start streamlining your projects today.